sunny spring day, my wife sat beside me on the ground for a picnic. Rays of sunlight seemed to hang around her closely, deeply enhancing her beauty. The radiance about her moved gracefully as she did, never changing its contour despite sudden quick movements. Her glow maintained its form, and followed her, as if foreseeing her actions. Wind gently swept her wavy hair out into the air like it was, making an impossible escape from her aura. Her face, flawless, as she looked out across a small pond in the center of the park. She was peaceful, strong, and happy, yet something wasn't right. This memory remained vividly in my mind, and in every detail. A memory that had been playing on repeat, like a never-ending dream. Her eyes weren't saddened or gloomy, yet they lacked their vibrant light. They are lacking because her needs haven't been met somehow. But what could it be? We have great lives, jobs, friends, money, a home. What is it that she needs? Why doesn't she just break the laws of this soundless dream state and tell me? Why is it that I cannot get a single word from my vocals? My infatuation, admiration, and love for this lovely lady are a raging inferno. Her needing something, whatever it may be, that had her eyes looking this way is driving me crazy with self-hatred. She looked at me and smiled, her eyes not appearing entirely, as though hope was lost, like they were seconds ago. I love you so much, she said in her soft, sweet voice. I hugged her tightly, never wanting to release her from our embrace, and whispered I love you more than I could ever explain, in her ear. I struggled to say more, to ask why her eyes were so pitiful. Tears rolled down my cheeks, my voice seems limited to only saying the words that were spoken on that day. We packed up our things, and walked back to the car. She looked at me, smiling as I lugged our picnic items on my back. She winked at me. I smiled at her, and rushed to open her door, before piling our things into the trunk. I started the engine, and we gazed into each other's eyes for a moment. Her expression suddenly turned to one of fright. Then, the dream, this memory, begins again. Countless times this memory has played in my mind, torturing the depths of my soul. So many times, I go through feeling every emotion possible, sadness, at first, then a feeling of helplessness, anger, depression, entrapment, hysteria, and lastly thoughts of mental instability. I can't take it. I wish, beg, and pray for it to stop, or at least provide some reason. What time is it? How long have I been in this trance? This dreamland? Or is this, dare I think it, purgatory? It cannot be heaven. Surely heaven would not permit such feelings of sorrow and anguish. Has it been months? Years? I scream inside my head, tears swelling up beneath my eyelids. Why must this punishment go on? Why can I not wake from this dream, this wretched nightmare? My heart raced. I struggled, wanting to wake from this madness. It's like my eyes are sewn shut. My body, I cannot feel my body. Am I merely asleep? What is happening to me? I beg for answers, and all I get is this misery from these lurid scenes. Have I done so wrong? This is how I end. Witnessing my last memory for an eternity. And, last memory, am I no longer among the living? Why the sudden fright? Instantly there was terror etched onto her face. What happened to me? What's going on? Where am I? I feel like a grenade, once this pin is ripped out, ready to be launched at the enemy, and on the brink of explosion. Adrenaline rushed through my veins, like a deadly poison. Blood boiling like hot lava, near the threshold of erupting in a rain of havoc. I've got to flee this place, this torture chamber of my subconscious mind. I have got to leave now, while the thin shred of sanity still clings to my very being. Doctor, did you just see that? Did he just move? Nurse Janine gasped. It isn't exactly uncommon in his state for the patient to twitch, or display some involuntary movement, Dr. Allardy exclaimed. Yes, but he has been dead still for nearly 5 years. Zero movement up until now, Janine argued. Let's not get our hopes up just yet. It may very well be nothing to get excited about, Allard declared, shining his flashlight onto my eyes. I cannot wait any longer. This horrid memory continues to relentlessly assault me. I've relived these few hours long enough. My mind is numb from the mixture of feelings it keeps producing. I try clenching my fists, but there was no feeling in my hands. Are they even moving? I attempted lifting an arm, yet it felt as though I'm doing nothing. Come on, don't be worthless any longer. Snap out of it already. I demanded of myself. I felt hot it was, like I was on fire and burning. SSSSS. Oh. Zoe. I screamed as loud as I could, and incoherently at that. Doctor. He's awake. Janine shrieked. What? Where am I? I tried yelling again, but I sounded raspy and muffled. My mouth was dry, muscles weak. I could barely move, my mouth weighed hundreds of pounds, and extremities have been rendered lifeless. I need you to remain calm, Nathaniel. Right now, your blood pressure is way too high, okay? Slow and easy. Long deep breaths. Please do not try to sit up, or do anything strenuous. You have been right here in this bed for almost 5 years, Nathaniel. Take baby steps, don't overdo it. Your muscles are weak, and in need of repair. Baby steps, okay. Dr. Allard ordered. With my eyes slightly open now, vision blurred and foggy, Nurse Janine slowly came into focus. Her face, gorgeous in appearance. Flawless was her flesh, not a single blemish to be found. Lines forming her brow, cheekbones, and jawline are bold, bright and profound. Had her face been carved from stone, chiseled, smoothed and polished to a high shine, it wouldn't have been more perfect in every detail. It looked a little fake. Dr. Allard looked like any normal person. Bags hung below his eyes, growing from countless sleepless nights from working in the ER, I imagined. One of his eyes sat a little higher with an angle unlike the other. Coarse hair sprouted thickly from having not shaven in a few days. Minuscule pits here and there on his face from shaving too quickly, or nicks from a dull razor. As the days elapsed, Janine's face had me thinking, as though it were from a movie. Seeing it each time had me finding something new, something I had managed to miss before. Her eyes, I'm sure they change color on a daily basis. I have heard of, even known a couple people, whose eyes change from time to time. I knew it was possible for eyes to change the vaguest shade of color, making it barely noticeable. However, Janine's eyes weren't merely a difference of tint or shade. No, hers were more abrupt in nature. I know some people's eyes change color on occasion. You are one of them, aren't you? I inquired, sitting up on the hospital bed. Yes, they do change depending on my mood, it seems. Janine replied, expressing a sly grin, and batting her eyes. Is it heterochromia? I wondered. No, not at all. I'm perfectly healthy. Janine chirped happily. Contacts, then. I continued. Listen, Mr. Simmons, my eyes are perfectly fine. Just worry about your recovery, so you can return home to your wife. She stated sharply. As sly grin remained on her perfectly sculpted face, accompanying the venom in her words. Fire in her voice was enough to make me drop the subject. Something wasn't quite right with her, and I wasn't sure I wanted to know what it was. Soon, after regaining my speech, I had asked about my wife. They told me how she used to come visit on a daily basis. At times she would sit by my bedside, staying for days without leaving. After a while she stopped. I don't know if she gave up and moved on, or if it was too much for her to continue doing. I was sure she had to return to work at some point. We had money, but without money coming in, it wouldn't have lasted forever. Once her visits ceased, they said she would send flowers on a weekly basis. Lately though, just before I woke up, those stopped as well. With her seemingly cutting her ties to me, I instructed the personnel not to contact her in my regards. I needed to see her again. If nothing more than verification she is well and happy. It would be motivation for my recovery, helping me push myself to the limits, in order to regain my strength and motor skills. Before long, I was ready to leave. To walk out and away from the misery I had gone through, while in a coma, and do so on my own 2 feet. It was a terrific feeling, knowing deep down how surprised Zoe would be to see me waltz into our house. Our love was pure and true, virtually one being, is how we were. The anticipation of her beautiful face being full of surprise and excitement to see me again, to hold her in my arms again. I could not wait for that moment. Walking out of the hospital, people seemed different. Before I fell into a coma, body modification was a major trend, and one which was steadily growing. I shrugged it off, crossing the street, and passing by some unique individuals. Picking up my pace, closing in on an electronics store, I saw a strange man coming toward me. He was goth at a glance with black suit, hair, shoes, and even his eyes. Big black eyes, absent eyelids, sat beneath a razor-sharp brow. Lengths of a blade protruded from his brow, inset in his flesh, and rounded to form each one. He also had a thick beard that was made up of tiny needles. Sup, dog? He grunted, with a big smile. Panicked, I darted into the electronics store. Plastic surgery was so 5 years ago. Come down and see Dr. Shillington for a free consultation, and get the face of your dreams. A woman on a TV behind me chirped. With the odd man still marching up the street, I proceeded home as fast as I could. Zoe, I'm home. I beckoned, walking into the living room. I'm upstairs, dear, just putting my face on. I'll be down in a second, Zoe called back in her lovely voice. Okay. Tried to hurry, because it has been a long time and I cannot wait to see you and hug the life out of you, I yelled back. Looking around our house, everything was the exact same as I remembered it, not one thing out of place. One new addition, the only apparent change, was a security panel by the front door. With me being practically dead to the world for 5 years, I guessed she needed something to feel safe. I heard her footsteps moving around upstairs, traveling to the staircase. Standing at the bottom looking up, I waited. Had she changed? Does she still look the same? Will it be love at first sight all over again? So many questions, anxiousness getting to me, my heart begins beating rapidly. A delicate right hand gently grasped the railing as she slowly walked to the top step. You look. I started. Yes. Zoe asked shyly. You look just as I remember you. I mumbled and raced up the stairs to embrace her once again. Did you miss me a little? Zoe giggled. I don't think miss is a strong enough word, I blurted, enjoying her smell and the feel of her wavy hair against my face. Do you want to sit down? Or are we just going to stand here forever? Zoe laughed. Oh, believe me, forever would not be long enough, sweetheart, I stated firmly. Okay. How about I go get dinner out of the oven before it burns, and we can hold each other on the couch while it cools? Zoe suggested. Fine. But in a few minutes. It's been so long. I don't want to let you go again, not just yet anyway, I pleaded. Okay, our kitchen is going to start smoking if I don't turn the oven off. Zoe left and pried my arms off of her. I walked downstairs and sat on the couch. It was a pleasant feeling, coming home to the home I remembered exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. So I looked as amazing as she did that day at the park. That day at the park. Why didn't you just call? Our phone number is still the same. I could have picked you up and saved you from the long walk here. Zoe asked, sitting down and putting her legs across me. I don't know. I thought me just popping in here would be a good surprise for you. Same number though. Really. I love how basically everything is the same as I remember it, I chirped. Well, most things are the same, dear, Zoe assured. So what happened on that day? I remember you having a look of terror on your face, just before my memory of that day started playing on repeat. I questioned. After we got into the car, I looked at you. I noticed something moving out of your window. It was a large truck. They told me a man had a heart attack behind the wheel, and his truck plowed into the driver's side of our car. I was busted up pretty good, and was actually hospitalized in the same room as you, for a while. Then I got all better and came home. Zoe recalled. Sounds painful. Glad I don't remember any of that. It's great that you look the exact same. Oh, what was wrong with you that day at the park? I remember you had a look of discouragement in your eyes, I rambled. Honey, that was 5 years ago. I don't remember if anything was bothering me, Zoe declared. Yet, I suppose it was a long time ago. I've got to run to the bathroom, I said, slipping out from under her feet. Honey, wait. Zoe yelled after I stepped inside and shut the door. I'll be right out, babe, I replied. I heard her footsteps racing up the steps. She was yelling something. However, the sight before me had entrapped my attention. 2 cabinet doors were left open, revealing strange instruments within. A holder of sorts, clear glass cover over a stainless steel base, has 3 rows of felt, cradling what looked like compasses. Round globes with marbles floating inside, and plug-like things protruding out the back of them. There's 1 pair for each color and enough to cover the entire spectrum. Eyeballs. I mumbled. The next shelf inside the cabinet was equally intriguing. A glass case enclosure, holding 3 different, oval canvases. Sitting behind them was a wicker basket with a towel draped over the handle. Stop it. Let me in. Open the door. Zoe demanded, pounding on the door. Reaching over, I gave the knob a twist and pulled the door open. I was dumbfounded by the objects in front of me. What were they? What are these things? I whispered. I forgot about leaving the cabinet doors open. Come back to the couch with me, and I can explain. Zoe bellowed. Is this how Janine the nurse was able to change her eye color? I asked, picking one of the contraptions up. Yes. It's the new thing, like body modification. I know you remember people doing that. Dr. Shillington does a surgery not like plastic surgery, but a procedure that allows people to have the face of their dreams. That day at the park, I was worried to death, because I had saw forehead wrinkles earlier in the day. After the accident, my face was scarred so bad, I couldn't even recognize myself. So, I went to Dr. Shillington. The guy that hit our car. His insurance paid for all of it, including what time you were in a coma. Please, don't be mad. Zoe cried. What was the procedure? What kind of operation does one get that allows them to change their eyeballs at random? I trembled. I don't know how to explain it. I guess I should just show you. But please don't freak out. Zoe begged. She pressed and appeared to slide 2 areas on her jawline, then carefully lifted the flesh from her head. A series of connectors lined the separation point from below her chin to the lower back of her head. Muscles in her face were clearly visible, but there was no blood, not one single drop. Frozen in terror, I felt hot tears stream down my cheeks. Look, she continued, removing the nose, ears, lips, and even the flesh itself from the mask plate. You can decide it any way you want. What? What kind of madness is this? I asked, looking at the thin clear film covering her skinless head. This is too much. Am I still in a coma? Am I still asleep, and laying on that hospital bed? It's no madness at all. It's a big foop. Zoe spat, lack of lips making speech difficult for her. It is madness. I'm out of here. I don't even know where I'm going, but I can't take this. This is way too much way too soon. I blurted as I brushed past her and headed for the stairs. Aye. So I shouted and chased after her eye that had popped out when I bumped into her. Tiny sparks sprayed from the empty eye socket. What? I grunted. Turning to face her, I stepped on something round, probably her eyeball, slipped and fell down the stairs. How is he, Dr. Allard? Zoe asked, worried about Nathaniel as she rushed into the hospital room. Her nerves quaked amid the noisy machines and green illumination from the street light outside. I'm afraid that he has fell back into a coma. Dr. Allard stated calmly. How long do you think it will last this time? Zoe cried. Well, I guess that is entirely up to you, yet again. Dr. Allard replied. Let's do 10 years this time. Also, check his control module. It didn't work this time when he woke up. Replace it if you have to, and you should probably do a hard reset on his memory. Maybe if his mind is wiped clean, we won't have to go through this again. Please, doctor, the next time he wakes up, call me then. Not 30 minutes, after he has already left here. Zoe demanded.